For some of you, this may be the first time that you've heard of Teen Challenge, so let me give you just a little bit of background. Our core business is drug and alcohol rehabilitation. We have separate men's and women's residential centres located on 60 acres in the Toowoomba region, and we also have crisis accommodation for young men in Brisbane. Teen Challenge was founded by Reverend David Wilkinson on the streets of New York in 1958 and now has a global footprint in 125 countries with over 1,500 centres worldwide, every centre being autonomous. Teen Challenge Queensland has been providing services for young people struggling with addiction since 1971. So next year we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary. Substance misuse is a very real issue in our nation. 1 Australian dies every 5 hours from drug overdose. We are now the second largest consumers of methamphetamines, and we're the largest consumers of ecstasy in the world. Drug and alcohol related issues cost our nation over $56 billion every year. Addiction is a complex problem requiring creative and innovative solutions, and Teen Challenge globally has spent over 60 years in this space, and we have one of the highest recovery success rates anywhere in the world. We understand that addiction is only the symptom, so unless we deal with the underlying issues, we leave those recovering from addiction in a vulnerable state. Our staff are passionate and committed about walking the journey of recovery with those who come into our centres, helping them to face and unpack those underlying issues. We know how to do rehab and we understand and operate under best practice. However, there is one undeniable fact. Only God can reach into a broken heart and put all the broken pieces back together again. From our many years of experience, this is what we know to be true. It is God plus best practice that equals success. The effects of isolation through the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a huge spike in substance use, and now more than ever, Teen Challenge services are in demand. Something that many of you may not be aware of, our rehab centres in Toowoomba are not government funded. So the funds that we raise through events like this allows us to open up more beds for young people to heal, to recover, and to live a purposeful life. I'll never forget the day that our assessment officer came into my office to ask about a young woman who had applied to come into our rehab centre. They told me the young woman's story. She was working in the sex industry, hopelessly addicted to drugs and desperate for help. She told our assessment officer that she had rung every rehab in Australia and no one would accept her because she was a New Zealand citizen. This meant that she did not qualify for Centrelink payments. I pondered that for a moment because many of these rehabs that had rejected her were actually government funded, but wouldn't accept her because they would have to forego the Centrelink payments. We, on the other hand, at that time were facing some very real financial challenges, and this would mean that we had to fund her for a full 12 months while she completed the program. For me, there was no question. How could we turn her away? So I said, absolutely we'll accept her and we'll trust God for the rest. That young woman came into our program. God provided and she completed the full 12 months. Throughout the program, her heart was healed and her life was transformed, and she later married the man of her dreams. This is why we do what we do. Every person, no matter how far they have fallen, deserves a second chance at life. This virtual event is called Hope Gala. We chose the word hope because it so well describes what happens in the lives of those who come into Teen Challenge. When the young men and women enter our program, they're frightened. Their eyes are lifeless and many of them have no hope for the future. But then something amazing happens. They walk through our doors, they experience love and acceptance from the Teen Challenge staff, they learn new life skills, and many of them discover God's unconditional love. And we have the privilege of seeing their lives transform. Those who were once hopeless became filled with hope for their future. They started to dream again. This is something I continually stand in awe of. I hope that this has given you just a little glimpse into who we are and why we are so passionate about loving these men and women back to life. Thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this Virtual Hope Gala and for helping us to reach our target. Thank you and God bless.